Hopefully this time my audio is working. Are you hearing me? Okay, good. I looked ahead this time because computers do weird things. They just decide to take things on themselves. We have Nancy back tonight, and boy, am I glad to have her back because we had a great conversation last time. I'm sure this will be another one. I don't have anything much to say except tomorrow night is Judy Goldsmith's piece that I worked myself nearly to death on. Mary made me take time off, but it is probably the best we've done so far. And currently, I'm working on Susan Alloway's Jackrabbit case. Thank you, Earl Gray Anderson. We couldn't have done it without you. That is equally amazing. As I'm editing it and doing the effects for it, I'm gobsmacked. You Brits will know what I mean by that. Let's bring her on. Nancy, you're back.
I'm back. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
I thought before we get going, we would address this drone thing. A lot of people don't realize that I'm a pilot, that I fly UAVs, and I've been doing it for years. Literally, I started flying radio-controlled airplanes, very elaborate ones, recreations of World War II planes that are quite large that we build ourselves, and they do everything the real ones do. And thank you, John, my God. So I've been flying forever. And in recent years, we have all had to register with the FAA. They in turn give us tail numbers that go on our aircraft. If we fly without them, it's illegal, very illegal. You can get in a lot of trouble. We also had to take general aviation tests with the FAA and pass that. If we are not flying in a sanctioned field that's been grandfathered, then we need to have a transponder in our radio-controlled airplanes, each and every one of them, so that the ATC can identify our craft. And in some cases, we also have to check with them to see that we can actually fly in certain locations. I'm forgetting things here, but it's very regulated. Also, it's very easy if someone flies without a transponder. If the authorities want to, they can track your 2.4 gigahertz, Dennis will back me up on this, signal very easily and find out right where you are. And if you don't believe me, buy a drone, go fly it over or near an Air Force base and watch what happens. Give it about 10 minutes, you'll have people knocking at your door. So it is absolutely ludicrous. And there's no question in my mind that the people out there, thank you, Earl, in power, are lying to us hugely. And as you well know, Nancy, there are, at this very moment, there are more and more UFO reports coming in from pilots. Now, drones don't fly at 30,000 feet. They can't. Helicopters can't. They're rotors. There's mass sightings, and we have all these drones happening at the same time. And some of them, yes, are drones, and I think it's people goofing off. If they fly over an Air Force base, they're going to find out that that wasn't a smart thing to do. But the rest of it, and our government saying they can't identify it, and the authorities don't know where it's coming from, they could easily shoot them down, track them. I mean, it's just, but they know the public's dumb, and the public's going to buy it. So guess what happens? Let's say Christmas, we get up, and there's a whole bunch of flying discs in the sky and stuff, and they tell people they're drones. That's what they're probably going to believe, most of them, except for us troublemakers who will be out there making as much trouble as we possibly can. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to flying radio-controlled aircraft. Even our airplanes have been now designated as drones by the government. They call them drones. So, yeah, this whole thing stinks. What do you think, Nancy?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I am excited about it because it has everybody looking up. It has everybody talking about this.
This whole thing's going to backfire on them.
It is. It's like, listen, either they're being pushed by somebody to have to, make a response or make a reaction to do something. They're being forced into saying, okay, we know what this is, a forceful way. Or maybe it's even Trump and Elon Musk pulling something on the side, trying to see what they can scheme up to try to move some of these older generation of these congressmen into action. There's something going on for
Well,
sure.
there's something coming,
Yeah, there's
and
something
and
coming.
they can't do anything about it, and
Yeah.
so they're going to try to cover up. They have no power to stop a bunch of unknown aircraft from entering our
Well,
skies.
don't you think
None.
it's kind of unusual that they're taking the International Space Station down piece by piece? All of a sudden, all we need to get it out of the way. What are we getting it out of the way for? There's
I don't
something
know.
coming.
I don't know, but you know
Yeah.
what? We're not falling for it. So,
Uh,
and
I just
I'm
think it's
sure.
good that I think it's good though that people are becoming more aware, the
Yeah,
ones that never pay
sure.
attention to any of this stuff.
We have them now being sighted in Temecula. And what I found really interesting about the news report was that these young guys went up high on the mountain overlooking Temecula, and they were filming them at night, and they were way too high up to be drones. And the other thing is too is that if you're flying drones at night and you're a legal pilot, you need to have red and green nav
Yeah.
lights. You need to have anti-collision lights, which are the flashing strobes that are very, very bright, and you need to follow FAA rules. A lot of these craft, a lot of them are bigger than cars, which is
Yeah,
not
that's
typical,
big.
and the lighting is all wrong. And now they've got drone pilots. I just saw a really good news report.
Mhm.
These reporters were smart. They went to a local drone pilot in New Jersey who does it for a living, and he was very straightforward. They showed him the videos, and he clearly said, "Well, that's an airplane, but this is wrong. This is not a drone. This is not something what we fly." And he did it several times, and that was a very smart thing to do. They're going to have a real hard time with this. Have
Yeah.
you received any messages
What have I been
as of
getting?
late?
Say it again.
I said, have you received any messages as of late, recently?
Yeah, but they're not. This is not something that they're doing. But I do think that they are instrumenting some people to push things in action because it's going to happen a lot sooner than later. And I can see there's a lot of things going on in the world. There's more people waking up all the time, and there's going to
Yeah,
be more occurrences like this, whatever it takes to get everyone on board because it's going to happen.
yeah,
And,
it has to.
it's, yeah, it has to. So it's just I'm excited about it because it's kind
I
of a
can tell.
forceful. It's kind of a forceful way, if
Yeah, it's
you,
a force of nature, really, because the
yeah,
Earth's in bad condition and the human race is in bad condition, and things are incredibly out of balance, and nature will
yeah,
always put it back.
yeah. We're past the point of fixing all that. So
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they kind of said that if it got to this point, then they'd step in. So we'll see if that happens. It
yeah,
certainly seems like it is. I did get a message. I guess it was a week or so ago. I woke up. It was the first. I was wide awake. It was the first thing that came into my head, and it said
Mhm.
the hybrids are integrated. They'll soon begin their work. That's all was said,
Yeah,
and I shared that, and well, you can look at that all kinds of ways.
yeah,
I really wasn't shown anything what they meant. I wasn't shown where they were integrated, where they were located, but we do know that they look so much like us that they would probably be just accepted.
yeah. Well,
But
as far
then,
as something like that, I was told that I was going to be getting a lot of help coming to help me. That basically like my relatives are showing up. I've got a big family gathering that's going to occur, and there's going to be a lot of people. And they told me that probably see a big jump in like all my groups and things of that nature. And I've started 3 different groups now. And so I'm just real excited because I can see people are getting better, more positive, and more focused in on the reality of all this. It's not something that we can put on the back burner anymore
no,
and wait
no,
for the next generation. Those days
no.
are over. It
Yeah.
is happening, and we're all a part of it. And
And it's
it's
just been coming
exciting.
out of the woodwork. I mean, everything from the whistleblowers to the videos that were released not too long ago. Lynn, geez, thank you. Uh, you know, it's all going in motion. There's a part of me that I got another message that I'm literally sitting on right now because um, I, as much as I try to trust my gut. I try to trust that these messages are real. They show to me quite often that they are, but I'm sitting on this one till a certain day comes, and then if it happens, so well, you just Mary knows. I told her so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just need to be sure. But sometimes it takes a house to fall on me before I'm convinced. Um, but boy, that house is falling right now. So last night I
And
walked out in the backyard before I went to bed. I always do, and I look at the stars and I take a look. And I didn't have my night vision camera with me last night. I just wanted to go out and look and pay my respects to the sky. And there was a drone. It was not an aircraft. The lighting wasn't right, and there was a jet going over the other way. And it was, I knew that right away. This was not, and it was silent. And I watched it for a while, and I went, I need to go to bed because I have a feeling that it's going to be starting all over the place. So
it's going to increase more and more. This is just the beginning. It's they do everything. Everything occurs in baby steps. So it's
yeah,
has to be digestible. So it's just little bits, and then But we're going to start seeing these things more and more. And then another thing is, we are evolving as a human being. Our visual range is increasing, our awareness, our understanding, our higher consciousness is starting to activate. And so a lot of these things that we're going to start seeing, it's not that they've been hiding, and it's not that they weren't there. We're just finally becoming more in tune with it.
good point. That's very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So it's going to just be unreal. The things, we're going to see new colors. We're going to see new shapes. We're going to finally start seeing things within the solar system that we were never able to see before, because our technology is only designed for 3D, and we're moving out past 3D. It's time for us to enhance our technology, because we're going to move past what we have, or what they're using right now. So it's there's going to be a lot of amazing things to occur.
You have a question there.
Oh, okay. Yes, they do things in like little increments. It's a matter of, this is not just, there's people like us, we're so very aware of all this, but then there's the people that this is not something that they even think about. So
No, that's
it's a
understandable.
worldwide phenomena, and it has to occur in a very slow, digestible way. And that's just why Ascension and all these things have to be at a slow pace, because that way people won't freak out and act irrational, because that's the whole point, is they want people to be comfortable. They're not
Yeah.
going to come down here and just shock us. And their frequency is such a higher frequency than ours. They cannot just land and walk out and be amongst us. The density on Earth is too low for them. It's uncomfortable, and their frequency is so
Uncomfortable for
high.
me.
Yeah, it would be uncomfortable to a lot of people. Even,
Yeah.
well, for me, they have to adjust me to get me to be able to stay on their craft. And then when I come back, there's like a little coming down period, and it's a very strange feeling. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration. And people say, well, why don't they just land? They can't do that. Most of
No,
the world would not be ready for that,
no.
at all. They would feel intimidated. So they think about these things, and they're doing it the right way. There's no question about that.
I think so. I find it interesting you saying the coming down period, because
Yeah,
it is like a high. I mean, it is a high. You're going
it
into
is.
higher
It's
consciousness, higher
euphoric.
frequency,
Yeah,
and
it's
then you're
euphoric
back on
feeling to
Earth,
me.
and
Yeah.
everything feels heavy to you in the morning, and your mind is full of thought and memories and images and visions being thrown at you and everything. And
Hmm.
it's a hard, but I find that each time it happens, as it has been for all these years, it gets easier.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
snap out of it. It's starting to become the norm. I've had this thing happening. This is all new, and I have talked about it. I don't think I talked to you about it, but I'll be laying in bed in the morning. I've just woken up, and I'll close my eyes, and I start seeing these super clear images, symbols, grays looking at me. They're not just a picture; they're moving, and also I close my eyes after having them open, looking at the door to the hallway, and I close my eyes and I see the after image that's like a negative, and there's a gray standing there, and open my eyes again, and there's no gray standing there, and I close my eyes and I can see him or her, and but to my eyesight, to my mind's eyesight through my eyes, it is invisible, but my retina still registers it, and so I see the after image. They haven't thought of that, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's.
Well,
But this has been recent, and
yeah.
some of the imagery is amazing stuff I don't understand. It's highly complex geometry and moving shapes, and
Mhm.
and thinking that I'm supposed to over time understand what these are and why they're important.
Well, you will. You will. Everything we can only digest so much. Sometimes they expose me to information, but it may take a while for me to finally understand. And usually I'll go talk to my two sons because they are experiencers and have the full contact and the Kundalini awakenings, et cetera, that I
It's a
do.
family
So
affair.
when we get together, that's when we can really kind of piece it all together, and it makes it really interesting conversations. We have some doozies. I feel sorry for. I only have one daughter-in-law, and I feel sorry for her because she's just like, what are these people talking about? But it's amazing. I love it. But for some reason they've been spending a lot of time with me here, and they're at their frequency, and for me to get used to it, sometimes they'll literally rub my stomach, because one of the things that how it affects me is it feels like heck of a situation of butterflies. It's just like it's the strangest euphoric. It's like really euphoric but real butterfly feeling. So, but yeah, but I know that at some point all of us are going to have to get used to these change of frequencies, but that's part of the importance of us raising ours. We become closer naturally and organically. It's not just forced like it would be now if they stepped out and walked among us and stuff. And they wouldn't like it either, because of all the negativity on our in this realm on this planet. It would just be overwhelming to them. They'd probably turn around and just get in the ship and hover up above us to distance from all the negativity, because they can read these type frequencies off of people for sure.
All our thoughts, everything we say affects the entire universe,
Yeah.
whether people are aware of it or not. It's
Yeah.
like ripples in a pond. Um, wow.
All connected. Yeah.
So what have you been up to lately? What have you been working on?
Oh,
We've
I
been.
I have started writing all these articles. They inspire me. Sometimes they'll just put these thoughts into my brain, because when I'm
Yeah,
not with them physically, they're in my dream state. And there's other levels of consciousness that we here on earth do not understand yet, but there's different layers of consciousness where I'm interacting with them, and they're inspiring me to write certain articles, like on uh, a lot of things has to do with our ascension and with our soul, because they want humanity, all of us, to look within, get to know who we really are, not the program version of ourselves that
yes,
just works nine
absolutely.
to five, the version that worries about all these things. They want us to get in tune with ourselves and what all of us chose to be here, whether we remember it or not. And we
Yeah,
all have a purpose and a path to follow. And they're asking us to look within and get in tune with it as much as we can. And most of the questions that we want to know about what we're expecting to get from others, like from the government, there'll be a point through our ascension where we won't even need that information from an outside source. If we get into the right level of consciousness, all that information is there. We just need to get
sure.
in tune with it and draw into it. So that's
including
the
how to
main thing.
defy gravity.
We're all a little bit psychic and intuitive. You know, you shouldn't have to pay some person out wherever, you know, to, or even downtown to tell you, read something for you. You know, get yourself in a healthier version, more positive version, and work on your inner soul self, and your higher self will come forward and help you. That's what they've shown me, and what they want me to try to get the, you know, more of the of humanity to do is just work on yourself. You know, work on it. We're never going to be perfect, but we can always be a
Well,
better
nothing
version.
is. There's no
Yeah,
perfection in the universe. I don't think
right,
it exists. Because if
right.
anything, they would be pointless to existence. If things were perfect, there would be nothing to improve on. There'd be nothing
Yeah,
to explore. There'd be, I mean, yeah. Do you remember what Philip Corso said in his book?
he was the one that went to Antarctica.
No,
Which
Philip Corso.
okay, which
Yeah,
one? Okay, tell me what he said.
he was a general, right, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah. In his book, he says it's a new world if we can take it. I
yeah,
think
okay,
is
yeah.
what
I've
he
heard that.
said, and which really captures what you're talking about. So,
It is. I mean, a lot of it's facing our fears from the minute that we're born. You know, it's embedded in us to be afraid and question things, which in
oh,
some
sure,
ways that's good. But you know, we have kind of gone overboard with it, and we don't
we
trust
sure have.
humanity. But we've been lied
It's our
to for so
culture.
long. Yeah.
It's our culture. The indigenous people never had this issue.
No.
From the Native Americans to the Aboriginal to all the original people, they
Yeah.
were so much closer to the source.
And they
They
understood their
were connected.
connections. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
and then
connect.
along came the Europeans
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, you're a bunch of savages. We're going to slap you around, make you civilized, and have you worship God."
Yeah.
And it was all negative. There was no positive in
Absolutely.
any of what they
And that,
did.
you know, if we could, you know, it's sad that these things occurred, but in the long run, sometimes some negative things, I guess, do have to occur because it has made us who we are today. And we
Sure,
can reflect back and see where we made those mistakes and make sure that we
sure.
don't make them again. But you know, a lot of people think that you know, I talk about being positive, but I'm not saying that our world could be running around chasing butterflies and rainbows. We're still going to have disagreement and conflict, but
Yes,
it's our behavior and how we handle these, you know, differences is what's important rather than jumping into war or into battles and evil side of things. We'll learn to appreciate and respect each other's differences and work things out in a more human fashion. So, you know, we're never going to be perfect, but we can be better. We certainly can.
and thank you, Gene Roddenberry, because that was one of his big things, and he created the edict, and infant was it Spock said infinite diversity. Someone's going to quote me. I should know better because I worked on Star Trek. I knew
I
Gene
know.
Roddenberry and all that stuff, and I can't remember what it was saying, but it was exactly that. And the Vulcan race was really a model for. He wasn't saying uh, we should lose our emotions because the Vulcans didn't. They just simply put them in check so that they could work out their differences, so they could behave in an intelligent, logical way and avoid negativity and destruction and achieve great heights, of which is, I think Gene was really, really hopeful for that for us. Um, because Star Trek predominantly does have that message.
It has a
And of
lot of
course,
great
it's,
messages.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been said that Gene knew about this stuff too. Who knows? I
Oh,
don't
I'm
know.
sure he got
We
tons
never
of
ta- we never
downloads.
talked about it, but
Mhm.
here I was working with Gene Roddenberry and Robert Wise. Robert Wise, who did The Day the Earth Stood Still, and I'm sitting right there in a chair in front of these two giants at their desk, and they're telling me the aliens they want them to look like on the bridge. And it just, I'll never forget that moment because both of them knew. And
Yeah.
the day the earth stood still, I mean, wow. So it's been in process all these years.
Yeah. It's been
But
going on a long time. You know,
it looks like we're coming to a climax, maybe.
I think we are. We are,
And
and I think it's amazing. I'm just so excited about it.
I can tell. Yeah, I am
Yeah.
too, kind of. Yeah, I am.
I mean, I can feel it. It's just, I think, I do understand a lot of people are flabbergasted because they just want the government to do something. But, I'm to the point where I think that the extraterrestrials and humanity are going to be the ones that do it. I don't think the government's going to play any part in it. I just think it's going to be between us and the ETs.
Sure. Well, look at the movie Close Encounters. They thought they were going to play a part in that. And all their guys in the red suits being blessed by the father, they didn't get to go because they weren't invited.
They knew
Richard
who they
Dreyfuss
wanted.
was invited.
Yeah.
Melinda Dillon was invited. All those people that stood up in the mountain and loved them and watched them, they were invited. They were the ones given the message. And I know that's just a movie, but I can tell you right now that there was more to that film than meets the eye. And it was really imitating, the film was imitating life.
Yes.
It wasn't life imitating the film. You know what I mean? It was, there was real substance to that. And Spielberg knows it. And
they know who they want. It's not probably who people would even think of,
Yeah.
And that's done on purpose, that's done on purpose.
We were invited, or we agreed to do this. And the interesting thing about that is that through the 90s, when I was being plagued with G-men or whatever you want to call them, they were more than once they said, I agreed never to talk about this stuff. Well, I do remember something of that now that I'm older, that in coming here and being young people growing up, we were not supposed to talk about this. And there were a lot of reasons, but one of them was so that we remained invisible, we remained safe. Exactly.
Yeah.
But now that we're older, it doesn't seem, I'm not being told I shouldn't talk about this.
No, I'm not either. I mean, there was, when I first started, my family were in fear, not because they were afraid of how other people would treat me, but I'm not scared. I know I'm being watched over. So, and I know that, I made agreements, and, when I decide to exit and stuff, that's already, already taken care of and stuff. It doesn't have to do with really anything that's going on around here right now. I shouldn't say that. I should be knocking on wood.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? We make agreements. We made agreements to come here. We've made agreements.
How do you feel about crystals? Do you use crystals?
Oh yeah. Ever since I was in my 20s, they always encouraged me to keep them around. I sleep with them because it makes you, for me, in dream state, I think you can focus more, and it can help you to remember your dreams better in the mornings and stuff. So I keep lots of crystals around. Yeah, I have amethyst and all kinds of different things. Lapis. I have just all kinds of rocks. I've always, since I was a little girl, I would collect. Remember when there was the old wooden Coke bottles? I always had a rock collection since I was like.
Yeah, I collected rocks too. I've always loved them. And this crystal, Mary gave me as a gift, and we have others, but this one I carry around with me a lot, especially lately because my health was acting peculiar. And ever since I've been keeping this on me, not just around me, but on me, it gets very hot. And right now it's cool. And I have been feeling better and better and better and better. And it's also by the bed at night. We both sleep with them there. And the dreams are just incredible.
Yeah,
and
it
we
really
sleep
does.
through the night.
Yeah. When I was little, I've always collected rocks. And then as an adult, I always would even put some like under my pillow and stuff. And on one of my sons, when he was like 5 or 6, he told them at school that his mother slept with rocks. And his teacher told me, and I was like, okay, I do. I couldn't lie. But yeah, and also I've always had a real urge to, or and this was encouraged by the extraterrestrials, herbs, natural things, take a lot of herbs and to eat healthy. And they,
Yes.
for me, they always told me to choose the color blue. Choose blue. Always choose the color blue.
Wow.
Hmm.
Thank you, James. Um,
For dreams, any kind of crystals is good for dreams, but I like amethyst and just any kind of white crystal looking. I forgot what it's called now, but yeah, there's just a lot of pretty, lots of crystals, lots of rocks. Every single rock has a particular thing that will help you with and guide you with. And some people get even like little small versions of them and put them in a pouch and slide it up under the pillow.
yeah, yeah, and yet science kind of balks at it, but they know darn
Yeah,
well but they know darn well what crystals are capable of. I mean, look what we use them for, right, Dennis? Dennis knows. They're in
yeah,
everything. For a long time, in my radio controlled airplanes, we use crystals um, for frequency.
yeah. Well, they are
So,
frequency conductors. And
yeah,
water is a frequency conductor. There's lots of things people don't realize that are frequency conductors. And I think there's a lot of reasons why we should pay more attention to our oceans and our big bodies of water, because extraterrestrial have bases down there. And there is, I think it has to do with the frequency. It's
yeah, I
kind
know.
of,
Well, where Mary and I live, we're right next to Port Wayne Amy Naval Base. It's a CB base. It's a huge base. I mean, we're literally across the street from it, but also out on the ocean where the islands are, Channel Islands. That's where allegedly there's a base there. Now, Mary and I have seen at one occasion a very large platform that was hanging over the water. I think it was a triangle on edge, and it had ionized air and moisture coming off of it. It was an amazing, amazing sight. So we're watching George Knapp's show that's on Netflix. Very,
yeah.
very well done. Thank you, George. Thank you, thank you, thank you for doing such a great show. But what I found very interesting was the video they got from the boat of that greenish light orb descending down from the sky very slowly, very near to them, and going under the water. And you could see it go under and see it glowing from underneath. And uh, that was just amazing. There's clearly something going on out there.
Oh,
And,
absolutely. Yeah.
and then Point Magoo is only a few miles from us as well. And so I watch constantly the fighter planes flying over. And if it's at night, when they're usually not flying, I go out and look to see if they're chasing something because I've seen it. But the other day, they were all heading towards the ocean. They were taking off, banking over us, F-18s, and heading out straight to the ocean. So, I mean, it could be from maneuvers, who knows? But it just seems like there's something going on,
Well,
because
I'm
their
pretty sure
activity has been unusual.
yeah, there's something going on for sure. There's like several different areas, and there's a lot of activity around volcanoes as well.
Yeah, well,
They
we
have
know
some,
that. We've seen the videos where they go into the volcanoes. It's just amazing, which shows you
yeah,
they obviously have inertia fields or force fields around their craft that inside that bubble, there is no difference, regardless of what you're submitting yourself to. Heavy G forces are going into something very hot inside that bubble. You're just fine.
you're protected. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
I've seen images where they get right up to the sun too, and they even can go into like different areas of the sun and stuff. So, yeah, they're just so far ahead of us in ways that we can just not even compare to understand. That's why I get so frustrated at people trying to humanize everything, but there's no way to humanize it really. They're just more
yeah.
advanced than us, and they're billions of years ahead of us in evolution. So, there's a lot of things that we're going to learn a lot of things, that's for sure. And I just think that's why I get so excited, because, you know, it seems like we go like these little, that we'll get this big rush of information and then it kind of dies out for a while. Then all of a sudden, sporadically, big interest gets into it again. So it's
Yeah.
exciting when that happens.
You were talking about how you wake up and there's just you feel compelled to write
Yes.
about. I have done that constantly in the last year. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I have to write this down and I'll put it on Substack and just get it out.
Yeah.
And going back and looking at it, it's hard for me to imagine that I'm making this stuff up. In fact, a lot of it doesn't even sound like me.
Well,
It's not the way I
exactly.
would.
It's your higher self. It's your
Yeah,
higher self, that part of you that's part of them. And a lot of times, I think that there this is a human version. We're energy beings having a human experience, but our original beings were in a sleep stasis, perhaps up there, and this is just a version, not the whole soul, but a part of the soul down here doing all this.
the amazing thing in the two shows that I'm doing now, and with other people too, but particularly, and it was
Mhm.
something because in Judy's show, the title, I am them. There's a
Mhm.
reason that she said something that she actually says, and when you watch the show tomorrow night, it's towards the end you'll find out why she said that. But now here I have someone else who they don't know each other who came out here, Susan, um, and darned if she didn't say the same thing.
Yeah.
And I've said the same thing, and I know the same thing, and it's like, and it's the expression. Well, I am you, and you are me.
Yeah. And we're just the human version of that.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah. And
yeah.
my oldest son, he totally sees. I mean, his understanding of all this is amazing. When I was 42, he's 42. He's so much ahead of me at his age than I
Hmm.
was at his age. But it does help having, when I was his age, they were still young and not really paying attention to all this. They knew that things were happening, but it wasn't a focus of their life. But now they're older, it has become more of a focus. So we totally understand, and we look at things so differently. Like when we're sick, we try not to label ourselves as the sickness, because we try to be more positive and think about getting us in alignment with a higher frequency.
Yeah,
Because I believe that for all these things, if we do it in the right way, we can help cure ourselves, or minimize the effects of certain things. So it's amazing. This is an amazing time to be alive.
it is. Our spirits are so incredibly powerful,
And so
but
into, yeah.
we've been dumbed down, and they put governors on us, and so
Hmm.
I don't know. It just seems to
Well,
me,
we're out of balance, but once we get more
yeah.
in balance with all
But these
of
things,
all things,
these
it's going to be
crystals
amazing.
really help, and in whether or not they're actually doing something, or they give you the faith that you're using them, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. It's unlocking that power inside of you. If you hold this crystal and you think this is going to make me feel better, I'm going to have better health, I'm going to sleep
Mhm.
better, and suddenly you are. It doesn't matter if the crystal's really doing it or not, as long as you are able to do that. It's opening you up. It's giving you an anchor, something to hold on to that says that you can do this. Don't listen to the authorities. Don't listen to the priests or the churches
Yeah.
or the religious people that tell you you can't do those things. And if you
Yeah,
do,
well,
that's the
I
devil.
think that part
That's
of our
against God.
part of our aging is because we're programmed into aging. We're telling our bodies, "Oh, we're getting old. Oh, I'm limited on what I can do." So I think that that's part of the problem too, is that we need to reprogram our thinking into being more generous with ourselves and being more open to feeling younger, acting younger, and it's just the old program needs to end.
Yeah, it's important to play and remain a child, to
Hmm.
keep that innocence, that child, inner child alive. And we're told to grow up. We're told to stop acting like children, stop playing with toys, and get real. It's like
Yeah.
almost not okay. It's not okay to have fun anymore. You got to be serious, and you got to do
Yeah.
this, and you have to. I hear this. You have to. You have to. You have to from the authorities or the
Yeah.
people who think they're authorities are in authority.
Uh,
Noon. Thank you, Nooney. I think it's.
You're rolling in the dough tonight. Do
Do
geodes
geos
have
have any
benefits?
benefits? If so, which ones? Do you know?
I don't know exactly which ones, but I do know that if you will take your crystals, or your rocks, and set them in the sun, they
Yes.
will. That is a very beneficial thing. It will make them charge and keeping them clean. Also, rather than letting them just getting dusty and stuff. But if you clean them and then set them in the sun, it's like charging a battery. But another
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to
Mary
talk
does that.
yeah, I wanted to talk to you about is, I think it's time, or it's getting close to time, that a lot of our language that we use, like, I don't think we should be using the word alien anymore. I
No.
think we should be calling them extraterrestrials or interdimensionals or dimensionals, or, I think our terminology, we need to start, you know, using better words. I just don't think alien is a good word anymore, because that
I've
could be,
always agreed with that. And
yeah,
Noonie, I think for me, quartz crystals are very, very beneficial. So, um,
yeah,
to answer that question, so
yeah,
yeah, this geode here, it's rare that well, not rare, but it's this one was actually complete at one time, and then it was cut in half, and it's one of my favorites. It really sparkles, and
yeah, they're beautiful.
but they're crystals, and so this one's going to come
Mhm.
home. It shouldn't be here at the studio. We can benefit it for more at home. Um, wow. So what's next?
Oh wow! I think that at some
I
point
mean, you're plugged in.
they're going to have to start letting the congressional hearings talk to experiencers.
You think they will?
I think they're going to end up having to at some point.
They've been resisting it so far. I mean, didn't they learn anything from Close Encounters? I mean, really, it's a movie, but it's an important movie, and Spielberg
You
had a
know, I
message
think that's
that
like
they
them finally
failed to
admitting
see.
I think they see it as their finally admitting that it's beyond anything they can.
Beyond their alleged powers that they think
Yeah,
they have. Well, they have money and they can wave their hand and have your head cut off,
but it
but that's
doesn't
not
work
real
that way.
power.
Yeah,
That's
it
not
doesn't
power.
work. Yeah,
That's not power at all.
no,
You know,
that it doesn't work that way. So it may not be that they come up with the idea, but it may be that, well, what will happen is that the extraterrestrials will say these are, are, mediators. These
no.
will be the bridge.
I
I guess the bridge the gaps together kind of like thing, because you can't buy yourself into that kind of stuff.
no,
But of course, a lot of Americans think they can, and a lot of people around the world think they can, but that's not the way it works at all.
no. I think I think Whitley, coining the expression "the visitors" is still one of the best ones because
I like that.
it's very
Yeah.
neutral. Yeah, it's very neutral. I mean, they
Yeah.
are visitors. At least I
Yeah.
think they are. That technically would make us visitors too, really. But
Well, anything would be better than saying, "Are the aliens here?" That's kind of, I don't know.
oh, Nune, Nune is it just said there's an Arthur C. Clarke story called Childhood's End. Know it well. Forget about the Sci-Fi Channel's version of it. Just read the book. I wonder how relevant is is to real life. I don't know. I need to go back and read it again. I found a copy of it the other day. Um, Clark was way ahead of his time. I mean, he obviously whether he whether he knew it or not, he knew things. I mean, 2001, more than any film I can think of, is about what's going on right now.
Well, I mean, I think they were, and that was the best way at that particular period of time, the best way that they could play their role. You know, they were playing their role in all this because all of that led to where we are now in one way or another. So, yeah.
I remember when I was working at the American Zoetrope with Francis Ford Coppola one day, and
Mhm.
Noonie will like this. I was editing. I was very young. I was just out of high school. Francis was so kind to me and allowing me to apprentice there, and I worked for free. You know, just to be there. And I hear this voice behind me. Hello, do you know where Francis is? And I turn around, and standing there is Arthur C. Clarke in a suit with a briefcase with the Apollo 11 emblem on it. I was just, my jaw dropped, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that could have been John Wayne, and I would have said, he's down the hall. But Arthur C. Clarke, my God, you know, and
Oh, yeah.
because they were going to, he was talking to Francis about doing the movie Childhood's End, and Kubrick was also involved, but I don't know what happened because the whole thing got dropped. Another good one would be Rendezvous with Rama, but his stories about our dealings with extraterrestrials was so right on. It was just really right on. I mean, right down to the Star Child, which was the next step in evolution,
Yeah. That was
hybrids
amazing.
for our planet, for our species, because
Hmm.
obviously, you know, we at the very beginning we watch Moonwatcher, the Australopithecus, throw the bone into the air, and it tumbles and tumbles. And most of the audience, when they saw what they thought was a spaceship, did not realize that was a nuclear orbiting platform. Those were bombs. They weren't spacecraft. And not until you saw the space station. And, you know, we were at war. We were about to go to war with Russia again. I mean, just like it is today. And so they stepped in. They've been monitoring us all along. And that's the whole thing with Dave being evolved into the hybrid and coming back to Earth is very, very symbolic
Yeah.
of the hybrids we have now. So, you
It
know,
is. You
he
know,
was
and
plugged in.
we're looking at that scenario. That's what's so strange.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Rocks, which I sung, right? Am I saying that right? I'm so afraid to say people's names wrong. Thank you so much. Do you think the general public is ready to accept that we have visitors?
I do, but I think that they would like to think that they're not necessarily just right in our air. You know, I think they would like a little distance. And that's why I think that when they do arrive, they will keep their distance. You know, they'll be rather than over
Yeah.
cities like movies have shown, I think they would stay more out over bodies of water, you know, places to where it would be less fearful. They take all these things in consideration, very well thought of. And it won't be at the White House or anything like that. It will be in areas that, or not only it's safe for them, but safe for the public, you know. So I think over bodies of water would be good.
Noonie, Noonie, thank you so much. I'm wondering what you think of Babylon 5. You know, I hate to say this, but I never watched it.
I've
The
only seen
closest thing to
parts of it.
reality for
Yeah.
the entirety of things. Um, what is the feel is probably the closest thing. Yeah, I never watched it. I did watch the remake of Battlestar Galactica, which was absolutely mind-boggling, incredible.
Yeah.
Um, I was told to watch it by someone who is a Star Trek fan like nobody else, who actually worked on Star Trek Enterprise and Deep Space Nine and the movies and everything. He was in special effects capacity and CGI work and stuff. And one day he came to me because he was effects supervisor in Battlestar Galactica. And he said, "Steve, you got to see it," because I didn't want to see it because the old show was I didn't like from the 70s. It was just a Star Wars thing. And he said, "No, no, no, it's better than Star Trek." What? Can I take your temperature? He said, "No, you don't understand. You must see it." And it does relate to the human story much better than anything I've ever seen, even Star Trek. Incredible. George, thank you so much. Jeez, guys. Thank you for all the support.
Mhm.
It's unexpected. Thank you
That is
so much.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
very
I love Star
moved.
Trek. It'd be hard to replace Star Trek with anything for me.
Well, watch Battlestar
I will.
Galactica.
Yeah, because it's
It's
still
a
on
four and a
now.
half. It's 4.5 seasons, and it has a conclusion, and each one of them is part of the story before, and it's just amazing evolution. Um, and everything that's happening in it, we're moving towards right now. The writers, the great thinkers out there, whether they know it or not, they're channeling in on that knowledge you spoke of that's available to all of us.
It is. Mhm.
And I believe that's what's going on because so many times in our history, uh, people have, thank you, Nooni, thank you. Oh, so many times in our history with science fiction, these things come true. Um, Almost exactly as the way they were written. Now that could happen because scientists decided, "Ooh, I want to make that a reality," or did they, or was it the other way
I,
around?
I think it's like getting in tune with the
Yeah, I
frequency.
do too. Oh my God, yeah.
It's just like putting a TV down and you're taking the antenna trying to grab a picture or a sound, and that's what we're basically doing. We have like invisible antennas that's
Yes,
reaching out, and when we tap into it, here we go. That's how we get these
that's what Earl
downloads.
Grey's always saying. He's saying and you have your antennas up. So,
Yeah,
and then of course, right away, I think of my favorite Martian.
yeah. So I think that,
Which
because
I never missed those shows.
I asked for more information, and what they're doing is, I'm getting myself more in tune, to the
Oh, no
information
one.
that's
Okay.
out there for everybody. Everybody can do that.
I'm sorry. See, I told you I was afraid of pronouncing your name wrong. It's no one. Thank you, no one. Thank
No
you very
one.
No
Okay.
one rocks.
You were
Wow.
saying, yeah,
Yeah, I never watched it. So I do know one of the actors from it. He's a friend who's very into this stuff. Very. Lee Makowski.
hmm,
And in fact, he's friends with Whitley too. And we've been out to his house many times when Whitley's been speaking and other events he has there. So when you said you had groups, you weren't referring to actual physical, I mean, not physical,
I'm
groups
talking
like,
about
you-
Facebook groups. I haven't
okay,
branched out into like trying to do anything outside of the Facebook stuff, really. The website and then some groups, but I can see where it might spin off into something more. But I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the results that I'm getting on Facebook. To be honest with you, each one of the groups is just growing, growing, growing,
mhm.
and I like that.
I was invited by Earl Grey to the Close Encounters of a Third Kind group, which I was reluctant to join. And it's interesting they're starting to figure out there. Some of them are aware of me, and they know that to me it's not just a movie. They know I'm involved, and it's fun watching that. We do you have what we have is a meet and greet group. It's kind of like a support group. It's not
Yeah,
officially a support group, and we have people meet with us once a month, and they come to our house, and we have food, and we everyone's an experiencer, and we talk about this stuff, and it's really
yeah,
helpful. Do you
yeah.
have such a thing?
No, I haven't done that. People in my
Have you
area
thought
in
about it?
Mississippi, yeah, but we had a paranormal meeting at the library, and they closed the door down at 30 people, but I
Wow.
was not in charge of it. But they ended up just playing something like uh, charades or something, and I was like, oh, somebody
What
needs to
the,
take this and run with it because it could be so much more with this many people showing up. But no, I
yeah.
haven't. It's I would like to. I wish I lived in bigger cities where maybe it would be more of an interest in something like that.
Yeah. Well, you have a reputation, and a lot of people know about you and your work, and I
Yeah,
think you'd be a natural for that, and it would be
yeah,
helpful because there's a lot of lost souls out there who are being misled and told that these visitors are demons. And how do you know
Yes,
the
yes.
difference between them being demons or angels? Well, for one thing, they're not demons and they're not angels.
No.
That's
Yeah,
uh,
there's so
that's a
much
dogma thing,
misinformation.
you
That is
know.
for sure.
No, I mean, the bottom line is, if the visitors had evil intentions, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Absolutely.
There wouldn't be a world here as we know it. There is
Yeah,
nothing preventing any more advanced race of beings from dominating us and wiping us clean off this globe if they wanted to.
yeah.
And it hasn't happened. So I know that there, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about. There are races out there that are maybe not as emotional and more in their terms of thinking practical, and they don't see things the way we do, and they could be seen as a threat to our way of life. They could be um, their actions could be interpreted as being evil or dangerous or a threat, and maybe there is. I would not still categorize it that, because that's a perspective on our part, because we don't really understand these beings and how they think, how they feel, what their culture is like, any of those things. I mean, one of the things I always wanted to ask the visitors, every time I'm in their company, I forget to ask, what do you think of our art? Because I think the human race has produced some of the most beautiful music and beautiful art. And certainly that has to be an important thing, because
Mhm.
it's all about creation.
It is, and it has a frequency.
It
It
does.
creates. Yeah, they're very. They've when I've been on craft, they've taken me around to show me, and this was the elders or interdimensional elders, whatever, or shiny ones. Different people call them different things. Some people call them the creator race. They've got different type names, but they've taken me around and shown me they have like their version of games and their version of they use frequency to create art and symbols and create sounds.
They
So
answered me and I didn't even know it. You
mhm.
just answered my question. Now I'm realizing what's going on, because I've been asking about this, and I'm asking about it right now. But when I'm around them, I don't. It doesn't come to mind. But that doesn't matter. They probably know I'm asking about it anyway. And
Yes,
so these amazing geometric shapes coming together and being fluid and bending, and my eyes
yes.
are closed in the morning. I'm fully awake, and I'm my eyes are
Mhm.
closed, and I'm watching these miraculous images, and that's their art.
Yeah. And so a lot
I'm
like
trying to make sense out of it. That's their art.
when I lay down and I have my meditation prayer, whatever, different people call it different things, I make my request. And a lot of times when I'm with them, I'll leave when I'm with them, it's like I go blank. I don't remember anything that I wanted to know, but they will automatically address, even if it's a personal situation in my life. Like I wanted to know why they decided that I should be without a companion. Like I've been single for a very, very long time now. And why have I never found my soulmate? And then I wasn't thinking about it. And then we're walking along and they're telling me, we are your soulmate. We are your soulmate. A soulmate doesn't have to be the human version of a soulmate is necessarily not a soulmate could be same sex, the same person, or, it could be an interdimensional, that, and they were explaining to me, because for me, I was thinking it would be like a husband, you marry
Mhm.
your soulmate, that kind of thing. And they were explaining to me that no, that, that's not the case, and so for me, they explained I'm never alone. I think I'm alone, but I'm never alone, and so, and they've affirmed that to me, like they could be here right now or right there with you. You don't see it, but they're there. They know, they're very aware of what we're thinking and doing and what's going on in our lives. And they help to influence us in certain things like, the downloads, the artwork, or,
Sure.
they're in a subtle way, they are always guiding us.
we had two women come over here, a daughter and her mom, and uh, one of them was a clairvoyant,
Mhm.
a psychic. And just out of nowhere, she looked at me and she said, do you know you have someone around you all the time and they're trying to heal you? And she had this sort of look of shock on her face. And I kind of, I didn't brush it off, but, I thought about it. Obviously, it stayed with me. But
Yeah.
in light of what you were just saying, it came to mind again. And it was this image formed in my mind. And it's like, oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
um,
And
there's
that's
just,
why, people, they want to say that the extraterrestrials are from a certain planet or somewhere in our solar system that we know the name of, but they're
yeah.
a lot closer to us than anybody ever
Yeah. And
imagined.
that's not
They're
important.
all over the place. We just don't see them, you
That's not
know.
important to me, and I don't think it's important to them too. What's important, and I know this from every time I edit another show, and I work very
Mhm.
closely listening to the person tell their story. This is about this human experience and the relationship with the visitors. That's the real important part, not how they got here, not where they're from, not their technology. You
Right.
know, it's
Yeah.
it's about the relationship, and it's about how this is
Mhm.
affecting human lives, and how it's affecting the very things you've been talking about for the last hour, which I'm truly appreciative of. So we talked for an hour. So our show's an hour, and wow, great conversation,
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah. They watch us and care about us, all of humanity, so they've watched over us for a very, very long time, and we're finally getting up there to where we can understand our relationship with them. And
I
it's
agree.
amazing. I get so excited thinking about it. I really do.
Anybody? We're going to close the show, but if you have any closing questions to ask Nancy, um, uh, now's your chance.
I want to thank you for having me. I enjoy it. I love having these conversations. It's not like I can have these kind of conversations in Mississippi.
Oh no, yeah. So George, I just put up what George said. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, thanks again, Nancy.
Thank
And
you. I
look forward to
appreciate it.
talking to you again. Of course, you have our number if you ever just want to talk.
Yes, I do. Yes, I
uh,
do.
Feel free to call us. And also, if you're out this way, you
Oh, I
know,
will. I definitely come see y'all. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
please keep us abreast of that. So, sending love, do no harm. Very good, John. And
That's
there's
sweet.
Earl. Yeah, do no harm. That's right.
Thank you, Earl.
Live a peaceful life. All
Yeah.
right, Nancy,
Thank
thanks
you,
so much.
dear. All
Okay,
righty. Bye
bye.
bye.